Coming back into that, relevant to that, now when you are developing your team for the next level, motivation in your team is actually a very critical factor, I believe, and most of us can agree there. I mean, we would like to know, how do you motivate your team?
Okay, motivation. So now, I think there are two things in life. One is motivation, other one is discipline, right? Certain things you are really motivated to do, certain things you'll have to do whether you are motivated or not. So therefore, both are critical. I think we are giving too much of priority for motivation. I think that's how the management books are written. Many books are written on motivation, not on discipline. So we generally give more priority for the motivation. Almost we believe that you got to be motivated to do anything. Not really. There'll be 1,000 different things that you will have to do, whether you like it or not, whether you are motivated or not. They will have to be done because they are the right thing to be get done for the organization. So therefore, both are critical, motivation and discipline. Now coming back to, even though your question is on the motivation, so coming back to the question on the motivation, how do you motivate your team? I mean, telling the truth, hopefully. I mean, you just go and tell them how great it is as at now, or how bad it is as at now. And then you just tell them very openly what you think about the situation, rather than going and telling them, look here, don't worry, everything is great. Go and tell them, look here, not a great situation to be in. This month might not be a great news. So telling the truth, I think it's good enough. If you can go and tell them, look here, this is the real situation, but of course, you got to have being any leader, you got to have the ability of storytelling. You got to be able to go and tell a story. You got to be able to go and sell a story within the framework of telling the truth. So you can't go and tell your team, look here, everything is bad, I don't know what I'm going to do. You can't say that. But you'll have to go and tell the truth. Well, things are bad, but this is what I think it's going to be. This is what I'm going to do, and what do you think? What you are going to do. So I think without doing any magic of theoretical motivation in the books, or without doing what people generally think as motivators, if you tell the truth and if you share your genuine view of what the hell is happening around, team will be motivated. I mean, they will know that they will know the real situation. Everyone comes to office not to destroy it. Everyone comes to office to do good for the organization and to benefit out of it, and to develop themselves. So as long as they have that opportunity, as long as they know that things are great and we can go to one step further by working together, or as long as they know things are not great, but then we can make a difference if you work together, I think teams will be motivated. So it's that simple if you really look at it as it, but that simple things will get really complicated because of so-called management teaching. But if you forget about management teaching and go back to what you are as a human being, a lot of things will get resolved. I mean, if you don't follow management or leadership, if you forget about both, and if you become a good human being, things will get resolved. I mean, then there is nothing called motivation. You go and tell the truth and people will be motivated. But then now there's something called motivation. We try to think how to motivate is actually not required. That's coming from the management. But if you try to be a good human being, where you go and say, look here, this is what the situation is, and this is what I'm going to do, this is what I want from you guys, and if everything goes well, you will benefit, I'll benefit, company will benefit. Rest of the management becomes irrelevant then. So that's, I think, is the way to motivate.
That's true. But now, Channa, for the final question, now this discussion is being watched by so many future CEOs and leaders. What is the last word that you can give for them as a guidance or advice or anything you like to do something?
Okay, so when you say that there are many future CEOs who are looking at the program, what I wanted to kind of start with is that question kind of implies that you wanted to be a CEO and you kind of everyone should try to be a CEO. I think all of us try to be happy. Whether not to be a CEO, whether you can be happy by being a CEO, that's fine, but I'm sure there are 1,000 other ways for you to have a happy life without being a CEO. So but then coming back to the question of the advice or the comments for anyone who would like to be a CEO, one of the most critical things that we got to highlight or know is there's a huge difference between leadership and management, and for you to be able to identify what really leadership is, we are struggling as a country to distinguish leadership from the management. As an example, if you look at someone who is handling a project, and he handles perfect, there are 100 people who are working for him, he controls what's happening on every day, there's a plan for every day, there's a plan for everyone. Let's say it's a 2 months project is successful on the dot, within the cost. It doesn't mean it's great leadership, it means great management. Leadership is different. Leadership is how you get your team to do their best, how you inspire teams to do what they thought is impossible. Leadership is something else. So I think that's a key message for everyone who wants to be a CEO, who wants to be a happy life. You got to realize that you got to be a leader. You should try to be a leader. There are enough who are confused with those. There are enough people who call themselves whatever the name, director, CEO, manager, whatever it is, and they control things, they monitor things. So they are great managers. They are not leaders. Nothing wrong with great managers, but then you got to know it's not leadership. That's the starting point, I think. Starting point is to realize leadership is something different. Then you will start practicing that. I mean, someone comes to you and talk to you. When that person goes back, he thinks how great you are, then you are a great manager. When someone comes and talks to you for 10 minutes and he goes back and he thinks how great he himself is, then you are a great leader. So that difference has to be made. It's not about yourself, it's about kind of inspiring everyone else to do their best. So that's the first point in my mind. That's the first thing one should do. Second thing one shall do, if possible, is to realize that we should try to be great human beings, and that will resolve all the problems that we have in either in leadership or management. So then we'll have to have a process of unlearning all the management that we have learned and try to be a good human being. You don't need to have a theory to respect your team. If you are a good human being, you'll respect your team. You don't need to motivate, you don't need to do anything else to motivate the team. If you go and tell the truth, they'll be motivated. If you go and tell what you are doing and what's going to happen, they'll be motivated. So I think all of us, to answering your question, all the people who want to be a CEO should realize that you should try to be a great human being, and rest of the problem will resolve by itself. Having said that, there are enough organizations, and we try to make the same at Dankoto as much as possible. I work for Hydra Harmony for 12 years, which has huge impact in me in whatever I do. I mean, 12 years is too long for you to kind of not have an impact. So we have seen organizations like that, and I have personally a huge impact from some of the gentlemen who are within the Hydra Harmony life, like people like Janak Hydra Harmony, Tonna Raja, Ranil Padrana. Whether they were great leaders or great managers is irrelevant. They were great human beings. That resolved the problem of management and leadership both. So therefore my second point is you should try to be a great human being. That will resolve a lot of issues. But it's difficult to be a great human being these days because we have put a lot of management on top of the human being, so you can't take that human qualities easily up because a lot of management is pushing hard. But if you really want to go by the management, go ahead with that, given the broader scope of being a good human being. So I think that's the message. That's the message. And you should not try to be like someone else. You should try to be yourself. My team will never be a CEO like me. They'll be the CEOs that they can best be. Hopefully, they will be better than me in the work that they are going to do in the future. So everyone is different. So you can't put everyone into one framework and try to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and you do that in that order, things will streamline. It is just to see the differences in the people and help them to do better. That's the secret. That's the secret, and that's the only way to go forward. Rest is kind of clerical work. Given the technological changes that are happening, a lot of the rest of the things will be looked after by the technology itself. Why you need human beings is to make that difference. So that's the difference that you can make, and I wish everyone to make that difference in their life, for themselves, for the team, for the organization, and for the country. That's all.
That's it. Be a great human being, and that's a wonderful last message. And thank you very much, Channa.
My pleasure.
That was indeed an insightful and inspiring discussion. Thank you very much.
Hope this will be helpful for many to become groom as leaders. Thank you very much. And would like to say now, these days we can't shake hands on these things, so I won.
Thank you.
Thank you.